I hope everyone's doing fantastic today. I am Vernon, your host, making sure I bring you the happy 5 days a week, 15 minutes at a time. That's the goal anyway, right? Because, sometimes it goes a little bit longer, sometimes it doesn't. But we're breaking it down, looking at recovery. We're looking at, ways that you can break up with the person that you love most. And just to kind of recap things, breaking up with the person that you love most is kind of a way of framing how we let go of who we are, how we let go, who we thought we needed to be to become who we are. Because when we're working on being better, when we're working on, leveling up, which a lot of us are right now in the middle of doing that, because that's why you see so many people right now who are stuck, why you see so many people who are in some form of their process. Being stuck is just saying I'm in a place, for me, where it's not like, oh my God, the world is ending, but which direction do I want to take? It's which strategy is going to work out the best. What is the best thing for me based upon the data that I do have? But when you're looking at the data of who you would like to become and looking at who you thought that you had to be, there many times there's some sort of rough edges, some sort of rough spot where you're noticing there's this gap, right? One of the fastest ways to fill that gap is to let go. Letting go, that's a whole other topic. I'm happy to talk with people about that if anyone's curious, because it's a bit more complex because everyone's a little different, right? All right, working on my posture, working from home sometimes gets to you. All right, so when you're looking at, all right, this is where I decided who I'm not going to be, I need to look at who I am. There's a mourning period that I talked about yesterday because it essentially it's who am I now? Because when you have a breakup like that, anybody who's been in a long-term relationship and you break up with someone, you're trying to find solid ground. You're trying to find a good footing to say that I'm moving forward with my life, and I've also taken these lessons, but now I'm trying to make the best possible decision for every single step. That is incredibly uncomfortable inside of us, for many of us, not all of us, but for many of us. And when you're working on reestablishing friendships, you're working on even when establishing or maybe reintegrating yourself back with the current friendships that you had or past friendships that you have with this new way of being, it's a huge interruption. Because when you walk up to someone, um, and just using one of my clients, she come from a place where she was somewhat, a middle class house, right? Great family, great upbringing, but she really wanted to level up. And when she started saying, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna have a better taste in fashion, kind of the ABCs of leveling up. Um, oh my gosh, what is it? Appearance, behavior, communication. The ABCs, appearance, behavior, and communication for you to level up. And it's a formula for that, which again, I'm happy to talk about if someone's interested, if you're interested in it. But when we're doing the ABCs, all of those three things are a completely different person. And so when you put yourself back out there, or people start seeing this new flavor that you have because you broke up with who you were and becoming who you are, who you would like to be, and you're practicing, people are not going to be that accepting of that. You're going to have some, right, who are largely going to be like, man, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. Man, this is great. But some people, it's going to be like, huh, what is going on? And this is part of the recovery process. Why is it part of recovery? Because as you putting yourself out there and you're seeing how people are responding to you, and we are social creatures, so people's responses, I don't care how confident or how tough you are, you will notice that people are moving differently when you come around. It can get you to a place where you're going to start to feel as if you're less than, or if you feel as though, if you don't feel less than, you could also feel as though like, where are my people at? And what that's going to start doing is you'll start negotiating with yourself to say, well, maybe, just maybe, I can just kind of go back to that. And with my one client, she really considered dropping her standard that she had elevated, that she was practicing implementing. Yes, she's making more money. Yes, she's, communicating a lot differently. As you start leveling up, your language will change. Not all the time, but really look at from those kind of rags to riches, or people who've taken their income from, in this case, whatever, like 85 to, double that. You're going to talk a little differently. And these things, sometimes when they're not received by some of your friends, your family, loved ones, your colleagues, your conference mates or whatever like that, they're going to look at you different. And then what you will do inside is go back and say something like this. Well, maybe I should just go back. Maybe I could. And that's where the recovery is, because you have not the recovery as to get over it, but recover who you want to be. Recover to the fact that, hey, I feel this, but I'm still going to move forward in spite of. When you have that kind of bravery, It makes the process move even faster. I'm just giving you a piece of the puzzle. There's many different pieces to it, but I'm giving a piece that makes the most sense for a lot of persons that I've been talking to over the last few weeks. But when you're recovering, like, okay, all right, I'm not going to drop my standards. It is imperative that you continue to move forward. That is a trick of life. Any and every one of my clients knows I am all about paying attention to the bait and switch that happens in life. And the bait and switch is this. You will sit and you will see some data, something that has you, feeling a particular way. And then you'll feel as though you have to, make a change. And that change is like, oh my gosh, let me do this. And you're like, okay, well, I'll drop my standard. I'll go back to how I talked, how I used to be. I go back to dressing a particular way. I go back to certain habits I used to. And all that is doing is making sure you stay where you were. It is very subtle because you will start with something like this. Maybe I should. What if I just, you start kind of opening the door to these questions. And it's important for you to continue on. Life loves to play with you, and I let people know this too, to see if you really, 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 really want it. And then sometimes, how it can play out, it's not that things will be bad, okay? You let go who you are, breakup, you feel in a particular way, which also means you're more vulnerable, which also means you're more, prone to somebody's suggestion, even your own suggestions. And so what happens, or what can happen, is you will just literally just start saying, man, I did this great thing, but let me go back. I'm challenging anybody who's in this process right now or anybody who's about to start the process. Remember, life loves to toy with you to see if you want it. It's not there to break you down. It's not there to test you, but it's just to see, hey, look, do you really want this? Because it's a lot easier to do that. But you already know what results you're going to get by going back. You've been there. You've done that. You've seen that movie before. You don't even like that movie. So what's going to make you go back and do and create a whole new library of movies to watch? What's going to be the reason you're going to continue to press forward? For anybody who's in that process of trying to, reestablish themselves, they go out there, in this case, go back, to this environment where you used to be and used to fit in, can be very challenging. I'm very cautious in telling persons to make sure that if you're leveling up, you might want to kind of, not silo yourself, but maybe stay away from old habits, from old behaviors. Because in that recovery process, you're vulnerable and you can slip back. And there's nothing wrong with slipping back as long as that's what you're planning to do, that's what you want to do, and that's going to be connected with what your happy is. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it's not, it's uncomfortable. Time it. I talked about this with Thanksgiving. If it's uncomfortable, and let's just say, man, I want to do a certain behavior. Maybe I want to dress a particular way. Because I just feel uncomfortable. I hear that a lot when people start making more money. As they start making more money, they buy nicer clothes, and then some of their friends don't wear those clothes. Well, I'll just go back to those joggers. No, do not. Ask them to level up. And how do you ask them in a very kind way? Continue to do it. When you level up, it's not about you making them feel comfortable. It's about you making yourself feel more comfortable. That vulnerability will twist the narrative for you just to get what it wants. And I say it because I'm making the specter, right? People tend to stick with things when they can see the villain. And the villain is the villain is who you were. It's part of the recovery process. Now, I know this logically makes sense, but when the thralls of change, it is real. Let me tell you that. But now you're starting to get a few more pieces of the puzzle about letting go of that person and also recovering so you can make sure recovering because it's a hit. It's the velvet glove with the iron fist wrapped inside of a velvet glove. And it's going to hit you and it's going to catch you off. You have to recover and get back on track to being who you want to be. It takes practice, it takes courage, but the big thing is it takes consistency as well. That is part of the formula. Now I want you to go out there and do something with it. If you have questions, ask. I'm an open book. I'm also being big on being straight to the point. And anybody who wants to talk, I promise you it's going to be the most positive meeting that you're going to have for this month and quite honestly for the rest of this year. That's not me. I'm saying that message and those are not my words. It's the feedback that I get very often from people. But go out there, be happy, be successful, and go make this world what you want. Own your own happy. I'll see you tomorrow.